couple of weeks ago, I did a thing on elevators, and I got many, many, many pictures of elevators, and I got to looking, and I had all of these unknown elevators, and unfortunately, everybody who's on there, nobody's from Iowa or Illinois, so I don't think anybody's going to be able to help me identify them. But let's go through and we'll take a look at some elevators. Some are really interesting. A lot of them are just really common elevators. That's a pretty old one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you kind of wonder if that's an elevator. I would guess more like a feed mill.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't seem to have any real bends. I found this one kind of interesting because you notice all the bands around it. You don't usually find that on just concrete ones. The one behinds don't have bands,
Mm-hmm.
which makes me wonder if they're wood. Typical square one. That's a big elevator. I suspect, let's see, can you see, this is probably added later when they added this other bin over here. May also have something to do with the covered hopper era. A lot of cement elevators now, and not many of the old wood elevators. I think this is in South Dakota. When I looked, Golden Sun Feeds are a South Dakota, and that's probably another feed mill. That one's kind of different. There's at least 3 big, tall elevators, but we must not have got around to the point of taking the in between. What's interesting here is you see the track here, it isn't over against the elevator. So the track is either, it looks like this could be rails here. I suspect that no longer is served by a railroad.
Yeah.
Pretty modern, and an old one on the left. When they put those big bends in, everything had to, in order to have everything drop by gravity, they had to put in these big lift elevators. Here's another one with those bands around. It makes me wonder what that's made out of. This one says something about being, it says some grain company, but I can't quite make out that word on there. It looks like the end of it is TON, ton, blank, 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 ton grain company. And that is a cement plant. I'm sure that is a Keystone Cement. I was looking today at these, and I realized that this was not a grain elevator. What I think is interesting here is look at the telephone lines. Telephone poles. You don't find many of these anymore. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cross arms on that. Nothing on the bottom, which I guess you wouldn't call that a cross arm. So there's really only 5. You know, cross arms have 10 pins on them. You can put, and they usually put the 110 or the full AC electricity on the outer edges. The inner edges being a lower voltage. That's the leaning tower of elevators.
Hey, Ron, one thing on that slide number 16 that a lot of people forget, if you look to the right, there's a 3-phase bank all the way to the right. That's a 3-phase bank of power there.
Yeah.
And most feed mills will have 3-phase feed, and that means 3 transformers on the pole outside.
Good well, I believe this is a feed mill because there is no real grain storage units here. So I think you've got that right. And most model railroaders don't model the telegraph or the communication or the electric lines very accurately.
Well, most of these industries should be three-phase, and I see it. I don't have them all done on mine, but I see a lot of industries up. It'd be a huge industry with a single can outside. It just looks a little silly.
Yeah, I suspect that very few industries today are single phase. I mean, you know, most all houses are 220 single phase, and all of the telephone business I was in, we always had three-phase stuff. Which then there was Y and Delta and things I don't remember. They really have a lot of junk on the outside, don't they? I suspect there used to be an old elevator here that's been torn down. Farmers Co-op, you know, you can Google that in, you can find them all over the place. How many times have you seen this where this is what we always call the driveway or alley or whatever you want to call it, and somebody will put a scale house right here on the way in? That just isn't the way it's done, although I have seen a prototype of that. But you know, remember, here you come in with a truck, you weigh it, you go in here, you dump it. Now you got to turn around and go back and go through the whole thing again empty in order to know how much you're selling. That's why the scale house is always at a different, you know, where they don't have to go through the elevator twice. I think Walther's makes that mistake on one of theirs. Here's one with the bolts that go all the way through to hold it together. There's an old little one with a big new one behind it. This is, you got to wonder if this really, what this is. I got a feeling it is not a grain operation.
I wonder that long low building, if that's for livestock, for hog, or for chickens, and that serves to feed them. That's an awful lot for that.
Well, there appears to be the railroad here. We normally wouldn't take the picture if there's no railroad, but that didn't tell us much. Here's your cans there on the pole. But I got a feeling that is not a normal grain elevator. I'll bet that's a feed mill too, mainly because look at all these mixing areas.
Is that a Chevette or a Yugo up front, that little yellow thing?
I don't know, but I bet it came from Europe. Probably a Yugo. I don't know if you can see what's written on that truck there or not.
True Blue, something. True Blue Foods, I think.
This is Johnston Elevator. That could be the name of the town. So I looked up some of these that I thought, you know, maybe I knew where they were by looking at a sign like that. Of course, the elevator's gone now.
Yeah.
You don't see it, you can't find it. If you don't know of somebody who's actually been there and saw it in person and remembers it, you're in trouble. Now I know that one is in Zeeland. I looked that one up the other day. Zeeland raises a lot of turkey and poultry. If you don't know where Zeeland is, it's real close to Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids, Holland, between Holland and Grand Rapids.
Yeah. It's a dry county.
Well, I didn't know that, but then it doesn't surprise me. It's a Dutch area up there, but I kind of always thought the Dutch kind of liked good beer also.
Yeah, my recollection of Zeeland is dry.
Probably is.
Holland is definitely not.
I looked that up, and I believe that to be Stone Mountain, Georgia. You can just see that on the edge of that elevator. I'm not sure how I got that. Most of these are my pictures. There are a few in here that my friend Willie took. And that's kind of an unusual one. Look at the, I guess this is an elevator, ladder on the outside. The only way you could get up was to climb out there. That must be a feed, but it might be feed and elevator. I don't know if this is the same one or not. Let me go back and look at this. No, it is a Wayne feed.
I think that's the one down the road in the other picture.
Could be. Go back on this one. I don't know where the area they dump the grain in. That usually that's an enclosed area in the elevator where the truck or wagon can go through. And this looks like it's dead end. Looks like there's that's as far as they can go. And this looks like a dock.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they dump their grain in here, because that is not a big enough door for a truck to go through. And every once in a while, you'll find one that's half round. I think I found two of these. I think one of them's in Illinois, and well, they may be both in Illinois.
That one looks like the old one that used to be a hamlet, Indiana, before they changed it.
Well, I have taken a number of pictures in Indiana, and like usual, I didn't bother to write down where I was at. I always thought I would always remember.
Yeah.
If you look at the top, that's MFA, I believe, up at the top. And I think MFA is big in Missouri. Pretty sure of that. So that could be one in Missouri. And you don't see many with a big square beside the elevator part. And it's kind of an interesting bend here. I don't know. I'm not sure the railroad goes by here anymore. This looks like it's been changed completely after the railroad left, maybe. If you're modeling any new one, you got to do a lot of this kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect this scale house and scale was on the other side. That looks like that's a close-up of the other one. One before.
Iowa 150.
Yeah, this one right here. Whoops, this one. Here's the close-up of it. I should have deleted that. There's one with different kind of bends, not the normal, they don't look like they're concrete. They look like they're steel, and they're not the type like this. That's probably a little feed mill too. These may be more feed mills than regular elevators. That one may and may not be in service anymore. I bet you this was the door to go in the elevator. This stuff was added later after they quit using the elevator, never tore it down. That one almost looks like it's made out of concrete, doesn't it? There's the old and the newer. There's the dump area in there. They have their own elevator, their own locomotive. And that is relatively new. This is interesting, the way this is round up here. This is rounded, square, but round.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I got tonight.
Well, thanks, Ron. Appreciate that.
You can go to bed early tonight.
That's right.
Hey, Ron,
Yeah.
how many elevators do you have on your layout?
I just have three. I have three.
Okay.
In the town of Tama, way back when, there were 2 elevators. Both were owned by the same guy. So they were on the 2 different railroads. So if he wanted to, if he could make, he did better on the Milwaukee, he used that elevator. If he did better on Northwestern, he used that one to load his truck out, his stuff out. He also had a third one, but it was not in it was west of town, about 5 miles. So Gladstone was an independent elevator. Rucker is the guy who owned it. And they eventually tore it down. And today the Highway 30 is going through. There'll be a 4-lane highway right on top of where the elevator was. So now I got to figure out how to get out of here. Oh, I know.
There you go.
Just hit the escape. Well, I don't know what we've got next week.
Next week is a Tuesday week, and then the following week we're going to skip. That's the week of the 4th of July, and I'll be out of town. I'll be in Minnesota.
Okay. Well,
so next week, if we get somebody, and I think Lester had mentioned he had a presentation he was ready to give, but he is traveling today out of town. So we may have Lester, we may have Clark, or we may have Ron or whoever. If you're interested in presenting, let me know. But we're going to skip the week of the 4th of July. Let me just check my calendar here. So next week, we'll do Tuesday on the 29th. Then we'll skip a week, and then our next one will be, actually, then we're going to, then we'll do another Tuesday on the 13th of July.
Will the Tuesday be at 7 o'clock?
No, it'll be the normal 6:30. It was only 7 o'clock that one week because I had a church council meeting too.
Okay. So I will tell you, I'm working on another one, and what it is an industrial one, and there won't be any elevators in it. I contacted Doug Harding today. Doug has put on a lot of clinics on industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that I would try to come up with some pictures of industries in the Middle West. So if anybody has something that I should be thinking about, why, I'll probably put a list out. This may be 3 or 4 weeks down the road before this happens, and maybe somebody can help me, and maybe they've got pictures of some local industry that be interesting to look at.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I probably got about 20 pictures already, but you know, there's a lot of things that you need to think about, such as lumber yards and coal, and it depends on what time of the year, not what time of the year, but what era. Because by 1970, there was hardly anybody getting coal by rail. There were some yet, but not much. So anyway, things like that. All right, I'm done, guys.
Very good. Well, I'll keep you guys posted about next week, and have a great weekend. We'll see you then.
Yep.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care.